Hi everyone, I want to introduce to you today a harebrained idea that some of us got that I ought to be teaching a course in fitness over 50. And the reason is quite simply is there just isn't a lot in that space. The fitness programs that you see out there often are designed by folks much younger. One of the reasons I wrote my book, Vegan Fitness for Mortals, is because most of the books written by that time in the vegan universe were written by these bulked up guys who were in their 20s, 30s, maybe 40s. And, just great buff at the gym kind of thing, but not the kind of thing that especially a lot of women could really relate to. So I've been trying to focus on what might inspire people to develop a fitness program that is best for what your personal needs are. And part of this just came out of my own journey into this space. I'm sure you don't have to go as far as your local beach or whatever public place you frequent and see just the amount of unfitness there is. People just have been so stressed from COVID to a sedentary lifestyle to being more hooked on computers and screen time. And as a result, many of us have let ourselves, just as my parents would say, go to pot. And they didn't mean the kind you smoked. So I grew up in a family, at least where my father was very active, and I had that kind of a role model to look up to. But not a lot of us do, or if we have had that experience in our background, we don't really know how to incorporate a fitness plan that is good for what our needs are, and to do it without incurring any kind of injury. So many people ask me all the time, how are you able to be fit, so fit at your age? And when I tell them my age, if they don't know, there's just kind of like this, it just happened to me at a real estate class I was taking this week where I was sitting right next to a guy and he's looking on my Instagram page and he goes, 71? Is this really you? And it's the same picture, but yeah. And so people are always asking, I want to be you when I grow up, tell me how to do it. So that's really what this course is about. And it emerged out of my personal journey, which, as if you've watched this channel, you may have seen a few videos where I reference that my mom, aunt, and both sisters had breast cancer. We were part of the BRCA1 and BRCA2 gene studies. And of course, it didn't take a study to tell our family what we already knew, that we had a whole lot of breast cancer going around. And the truth is, only 10% of all breast cancer cases are genetic. So they figured that at least a couple of the cases in my family were environmentally triggered. So there is much that you can do to turn genes on and off. The whole study of epigenetics is exactly that now. And so just because you have a gene doesn't mean you're going to get some disease. And there just is so much that you can do to head in a different direction if that's been your family history. As I wrote in my book, Vegan Fitness for Mortals, my goal for these many years, especially in my later years, is to finish without injury. It is not a new PR, although it's nice if it happens. It is not doing a new sport even, although that's kind of fun. And I kind of got spanked a little bit by that just recently. I thought, oh, I'll join my neighbor who wants to do a swim meet, and it's a qualifier for the Florida State Senior Games. I have gotten gold medals at the U.S. National Senior Games in track and field, but I'd never done a swim meet in my life other than to take my kids for months at a time, hours at a time, until the wee hours of the night to swim meets for them, but I'd never personally done one myself. So I decided to do one recently, and I had no sooner walked in the front gate with, I had just done a 5K and placed first in my age group there, and had a big bag of towels and swimsuits and goggles, and just did not see this huge hose that was right across the entrance of the place and not very well marked. Other people told me they had tripped over it too. So I went because I'm a fast walker. Anyway, my gait is up there. I hit ribs first, and that was 2 weeks ago, and I have just found out that my rib is in fact broken. So, this has not been a walk in the park. My last video, the worst pain of my life, was that. And when you first get an x-ray sometimes, and this was the case, it did not show that there was a broken bone. And based on the inflammation, the doctor came in and said, do you know how lucky you are you don't have a broken rib? Well, the pain persisted, and I persisted and got a second x-ray earlier this week. And now 2 weeks later, we find out that it is broken. Section 2 of our course will really deal with building community so that we can share with each other what we're doing. You'll have access to me, and I will guide you through a program that works for you, that makes sense, and that is doable. So many people give up their New Year's resolution or whatever resolution it is to try and find fitness in their life, and it really is a rewarding thing. And it doesn't have to be very complicated, but as you're over 50, simple things like just taking a walk and enjoying nature, trying to get outside and get away from things that keep us bound up inside and hunched over are really important. And I want to have a great community where we can share those kinds of experiences and what works. We have a local guy, he's a runner, but he started a kayaking club, and it's hugely popular. And he's now coming out with shirts you can wear, not only for that, but for his running club that he started. And at different points along the way, I have also started running and walking clubs just so I can bring community toward me and find ways where I connect with other people who share the same goals and interests. Section 3 of my course will be dealing with how do we deal with the challenges that come our way, like injuries, or like isolation, or like there's nobody around that does what we do. Sometimes we feel like we're on an island when we try and get out and do these things. But you know, chronic conditions can be a part of what becomes our reality too. And there are ways that we can find methods of exercise that won't make these conditions worse, but will in fact possibly alleviate them and make them not be as prevalent, and feeling like, you know, it's making us come to an end of whatever it is our fitness lifestyle has been. There are ways, sometimes it's just a matter of taking some time off, taking a rest, that dreaded R word, just to get ourselves motivated and to connect with others, to find a way that does make sense. And maybe it's just a matter of changing things up. We'll work together on finding ways that work and make sense for you. Of course, there's always practical solutions and ways you can adapt exercises so that you aren't creating further injury, like to that rib, or other parts of your body that may say, hey, you know, I need some time off. The body always wins, so we got to give it the time that it is requesting. It is this great feedback to our brain that tells us really what we need to do, and sometimes it's just a matter of listening. Section 4 will be the impact of fitness on aging. Hands down, anything you do to stay active is going to increase not only your physical health, but your mental health as well. There are tons of studies now that link exercise to reducing the risk of Alzheimer's. And for some of us, that may be the biggest fear we have. But going along with fitness and how it helps either reduce or eliminate our odds of getting certain diseases is just a huge motivating factor, and it really plays out in old age. I always say it's never too late to start, and sometimes people who start running, for example, in their later years have less wear and tear on their joints and bones, and sometimes they're the faster ones, so you never know how it all plays out. But really the main reason to include fitness in your daily routine over 50 is because it just improves your quality of life. Even if you aren't as active or aren't doing all the things you did when you were younger, you don't want to lose everything. And to be fit is just a way of being present and being able to enjoy a better quality of life than those who are not. I've seen it play out time and time again, and it doesn't mean you have to be a fast sprinter or any of the things that I do. We will work together to find what works for you and support you in whatever ways we can to get to your finish line, whatever that looks like. But I want to come up with plans that work for you, and we want to have community building where we can share things that maybe you wouldn't be learning on your own, but you'll be able to take away from the group as a whole. And the main thing is what I have learned from running all these years, and one of the reasons I race is because you get out there with a community of all ages and all different shapes and sizes, and any way you can get off the couch, it is all good. So I want to help you get there because I know what's at the end of because I know what is at the end of the rainbow, and it ain't a pot of gold, but it sure may help you feel fit enough that maybe you'll go out and try and find that pot of gold, or whatever it is that is important to you at this stage of life, because there's much to be done. Just because you're 50 and older doesn't mean you're over the hill, or any other derogatory phrase that we have come up with to make people feel like, you know, what's the point? Well, there are a lot of points, and we have a world to save, and I want you to join me doing that and feel good at the same time. All right, everyone, gotta run. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. I can't wait to share this with you when we get going.